have something very fascinating for you. I have an audio clip that's 3 minutes long that is very, very fascinating. And I'm going to play this audio clip. It's never been played before anywhere. I'm going to play this for you because there is a stunning news story at Breitbart where Senator Sessions and his staff point out that fully 98% of individuals deported from the United States last year were either criminals, apprehended while illegally crossing the border, or had been previously deported. So in other words, they're not deporting anybody unless they're criminals, they've been previously deported, or they turn them away at the border. Once they get into the interior of the United States, the overwhelming majority of them are not removed. This is a huge story which is being completely ignored, except by me. Now, I want to give this some context. A couple of times in the past, I've read to you a transcript of a short speech that was given by former liberal Democrat governor of Colorado, Dick Lamb, a liberal Democrat. And at this particular event, he was introduced by Victor Davis Hanson, who has written a magnificent book. It's written several years ago, actually, called Mexifornia. And the title, gives away the substance of the book. But before I get into the specifics of what Obama is doing to this country, I want you to hear not me reading what Dick Lamb said in October 2003, but I want you to hear what Dick Lamb himself said. I really want you to listen to this. Turn up the volume, and here you have a former governor who really, really gets it. Again, a liberal Democrat. And he calls it my plan to destroy America. My plan to destroy America. And a hat tip to our partners at FAIR who provided this to me, and this has never been played before. Cut one, go.
I would like to share with you my plan to destroy America. If you think, and some do, that America is too smug, too rich, too self-satisfied, not diverse enough, too white bread, I have this plan. Toynbee, said that all great nations rise and they all fall. And he said, and the autopsy of history is all great nations commit suicide. So here's my plan, 8 parts. Number 1, I'd make it a bilingual, bicultural country. History shows us that no bilingual, bicultural country lives at peace with itself. There's not one, I believe, that doesn't exist with an incredible amount of tension and conflict, if not civil war. My second part of my plan would be to invent something called multiculturalism. This would be 2 parts. Number 1, I would say that all cultures are created equal. It would make no difference and make it impossible to talk about such things as culture. And the second one is that I would really try very hard to make people continue their cultural identity. I would replace the melting pot with the salad bowl. My third part of my plan would be to make the fastest growing demographic group in that country the least educated. I would add a second underclass to the first underclass, unassimilated, undereducated, antagonistic, and then I'd have 50% of them drop out of school, not graduate from high school. The fourth part of my plan would be to get the big foundations to fund, and big business to fund these efforts with lots of money. I would invest in ethnic identity and victimology. I would get them to think about their lack of success was only the fault of the majority. I would start a grievance industry. The fifth part of my plan is I would develop dual citizenship. I would promise people actually divided loyalties, allow them to vote for both Vicente Fox and George Bush. The sixth part, and this is important, I would place all of these subjects off limits. I would make it taboo to talk about, actually, or criticize this whole thing. I would make it come up with a word like heretic used to be 200 years ago. Let's say we'd call it racist, and I would try to accuse anybody of this that would object to my ideas. My seventh part, then, I would make it impossible to enforce our immigration laws. I would develop a mantra, let's call it this, that because immigration has been good in the past for America, it will continue to be good in the future. My eighth and last part, and it's important, is I would censor this book. This man is dangerous. He's on to my plan. Don't read this book.
And he's pointing to our friend Victor Davis Hanson in his book, Mexifornia, where he lays out the case. This is 10.5 years ago, where he gave this speech. And he was right on, wasn't he? And now there's really no opposition to what's going on in this country. Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, all the Republican leadership, and I might add a majority of the Republicans in the House and the Senate, undoubtedly, support this effort. My plan to destroy America. This is very serious business, and I'm sick and tired of the consultants and the operators in Washington telling us that the only way that we can reach out is to surrender to all of this. The only way we can win elections demographically is to surrender to all of this. This is disaster. This is national and cultural suicide. The man is right. But I want you to understand what's actually going on in this country today. There is breaking news at Breitbart, Matthew Boyle's piece. I really want you to listen to this. Fully 98% of individuals deported from the United States last year were either criminals, apprehended while illegally crossing the border, in other words, you're caught right on the border, or had been previously deported, according to a new analysis from the Senate Budget Committee ranking member Senator Jeff Sessions, Alabama. The 3-page document labeled a critical alert by the senator's office found 3 executive actions by Barack Obama providing amnesty to groups of illegal aliens meant that virtually no one who did not meet other criteria beyond simply being in the country illegally were deported. Sessions said in a statement to Breitbart News, quote, "The evidence reveals that the administration has carried out a dramatic nullification of federal law. Under the guise of setting priorities, this administration is determined that almost anyone in the world who can enter the United States is free to illegally live, work, and claim benefits here as long as they are not caught committing a felony or other serious crimes." Obama's well-known executive action granting virtual amnesty to so-called dreamers, individuals who claim to have entered the country as minors under their parents' guidance. But 2 our lesser-known executive actions include an August 23rd, 2013 DHS directive, quote, expanding that summer 2012 Executive DREAM Act amnesty to illegal immigrant relatives of DREAM Act beneficiaries, and a December 21, 2012 DHS directive, quote, reinforcing that almost all immigration offenses were unenforceable absent a separate criminal conviction, unquote. So there you have it. 3 executive orders that by definition exclude the overwhelming majority of people who are here illegally and still coming here illegally. In 2013, last year, Sessions' staff found 98% of ICE's removals of illegal aliens fit the agency's enforcement criteria. Only 0.2% of an estimated 12 million illegal aliens in the U.S. were actually placed into removal proceedings in 2013, and in 2013 did not have a violent or otherwise serious criminal conviction on their record. You believe that? Only 0.08% of the total number of illegal aliens placed in the removal proceedings were neither repeat or serial immigration law violators not convicted of a serious crime. And even that low number, 0.08% of removals who were not caught crossing the border or being a serial immigration law violator or being convicted of serious crimes, Sessions staff notes that ICE officers who communicate with his office say there's likely some other serious security risk for allowing them to stay in the country that is cause for their removal. Now, these findings should appall you. We have no effective immigration laws in this country right now, ladies and gentlemen, as a direct result of the president's pen in his phone. They stand in stark contrast to liberal calls on Obama to reduce deportations. Top Hispanic Democrats recently met with Obama at the White House, and what did Obama say? He's directing Homeland Security to look for humane ways to deal with this. This is another clear warning to anyone who thinks immigration reform is possible under Obama, said Representative John Fleming, Republican, Louisiana. He has repeatedly shown a willingness to enforce the law selectively while looking the other way when it doesn't fit his agenda. At least 99.92% of illegal aliens and visa overstays without known crimes on their records did not face removal. Did you hear that? 99.92%. Illegal immigrants or people who've overstayed their visas. And I might add that those terrorists on 9/11, they overstayed their visas. Those who do not facially meet the administration's select priorities are free to illegally work in the United States and to receive taxpayer benefits regardless of whether or not they come into contact with immigration enforcement. The next time you hear one of these idiot politicians, especially these idiot Republicans, say, we want these people to come out of the shadows. Ladies and gentlemen, they're out of the shadows. The sun shines brightly. The illegality is in the Oval Office. And the pathetic response from these impotent French Republicans drives me nuts. We have no effective enforcement of immigration in this country unless somebody has actually committed a crime. Other than that, they're here to stay.